Tired of seeing too many if else blocks just to handle slightly different behaviors? Want to make your code extensible, clean, and testable? In today's episode of Mastering Low Level Design, we will explore the strategy design pattern using a real world example of payment systems. Agenda of this video will be to start with the definition, then the problem which we would face if we are not using the strategy design pattern, the structure, and an example, and then we will move on to the code in Java. So, introduction. The strategy defined pattern defines a family of algorithms that encapsulates each one and make them interchangeable. It lets the algorithm vary independently from client that uses it. So what it means is you have a set of algorithms, let's say A1, A2, and A3, and now you want these to be used interchangeably. So at some place you want A1 first, then you want A2, want to change it with A2, then you want to change it with A3, and so on. So what you would do in this particular case? So if you have A1, A2, A3, what you can do is you can have them use interchangeably using the strategy design pattern. So the problem we have seen, class performs similar task in different ways. Logic for choosing how to do a task is handled using if and else, or you can use switch and case for handling the particular logic. Code in this way becomes very rigid and hard to test and very difficult to extend. Adding any new algorithm means modifying the existing code. So if you are modifying the existing code here, you are breaking the principle of open close. So open close principle is broken here. So let's see how this particular piece of code can be used without using the strategy design pattern, and then we will move on to how we improve it using the strategy design pattern. So you have a payment type, you're using if and else, that if the payment type is credit, I have some logic. If the payment type is PayPal, I have some PayPal logic, and then same for UPI, you have some logic over here. This would break when you have to add a new payment type. You would add a new else if block probably, and you will modify the existing code, which will break the solid principle, make your code more prone to bugs. Now let's look at the structure. So the structure would look something like this. You have a payment strategy over here, which has a method called pay, which takes the amount. So this is just an interface. Now using this interface, you can implement multiple concrete classes like UPI payment, credit card payment, and PayPal payment. And all of those will have a function called pay, since they are implementing the payment strategy interface. And this pay method would contain the logic specific to each one of them. Now, moving on to how you would use this piece of particular code is using a payment service. So, using the payment service, what we can do, cut. So, now we have the payment service with us. So, using the payment service, what we can do is we can process the payment. We can have a method inside this that says process payment and the amount, and we can use a particular strategy. So we will have a payment strategy object inside this particular class, and then we can call individual items here, whatever the strategy is set to. Moving on to the code, here is the code. We have the payment strategy interface, which has a pay method, takes double amount. We have created a UPI payment class that have a UPI ID, and it takes input as UPI ID and have the pay method, simply saying system.out.println paid rupees this much amount using UPI ID. This second, we have a credit card payment class, which is also implementing your payment strategy interface. It has a card number and taking it as an input in the constructor. It also just prints out that paying out using the card number and so on. Now this is the payment service that we were talking about, which would be used to use different kind of strategy. So this will have your payment strategy object. You can set a payment strategy here by passing the particular strategy, and you can then process the payment. So you have a process payment. If the strategy is null, here we are throwing an illegal state exception. Otherwise, we are just calling the pay method of the strategy. This is the client code. So this is the client code with us. Here we have created a payment service. We are saying payment service dot stat strategy as credit card payment, and we say service dot process payment of 1500. Service, we can then change it to PayPal, then change it to UPI and make the transactions. So this is how the strategy design pattern works. If you like this breakdown, do follow the channel, do subscribe to my channel, and if you have any doubts, comment in the comment section. And thanks for watching.